What's going on, guys? How is everybody doing? What is going on, everyone? Good to see you guys here. How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing today? Let's see who's here. Looks like there's a lot of people already here. I appreciate you guys, man. What's up, 1111? MKT, my brother, I haven't forgotten you. Yeah, we'll link up next week whenever you're free, my brother. Seventh Heaven, what's going on, my sister? Nikki T. How's everybody doing, man? Started a minute or two late. I was I was scrolling through Facebook and lost track of time, and yeah, I lost a little track of time there. I looked up. I said, "Oh shoot, it's already 7:30." What's up, Nikki T? Appreciate it. Now this is looking uber professional. So when I'm out there driving, people look at me like I'm somebody. They don't think I'm some crazy dude driving them around. You get better tips when you look nice. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody here. Hope everybody had an amazing weekend. Yeah, I'll definitely tune in, MKT. I will definitely do that, brother. What's up, Daniel Brown? It's good to see you guys in here. If you guys could, please like the video as you come in so we can get some people here and get some more people in the show. So please like the video. Please like the video as you come in. Marsha says, "Hey Fitz, did you catch John Cedar this morning?" No, I was taking my dude Todd to the airport this morning. Him and his mom were in town. So he lives right around the corner. So he asked me if I could give them a ride to the airport. So I was out with them this morning. So I didn't catch it. What's it about? What was it about? What was Cedar talking about today? What's up, KB? What's up, Alicia? Alicia, thank you so much for reaching out and contacting me via email. Your email was an amazing email. It was really good to read that. So I really appreciate the support. I hope everything is going well with you. MKT said, "How was the meeting today?" You funny. You real funny, bro. You are real funny. Ha ha ha. Yuck 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 yuck. We'll give MKT the clap for the funniest comment so far. Ha ha yuck yuck yuck. Oh man. Yeah, I just thought I did a little impromptu show a couple of nights ago. I was just thinking about a little situation that happened with my father and my aunt, and just made me think about mental health and things like that in general. So I thought maybe we all could talk about mental health today and how being in the organization affected our mental health and how our mental health has been after we've left. And you guys are more than welcome to call in. I know you guys hate calling in. But if you want to call in, the number is on the screen. I'll just put it in the chat too. More than happy to hear everyone's stories about mental health in the organization. What's going on, Latanya Smith? What's up, Willow B? It's good to see you. KB says, ooh, I have a lot to say about that one. Well, call in, KB. You always have good calls. Call in and let's talk about it. But what was interesting, oh, Daniel Brown says there was a 50K celebration over at John's channel. I didn't know that. Well, that's good. Good for him. Congrats. He's been putting in some work, man. So congrats to him. I'm glad he's doing well, man. He's put in some work. Skeptic says, what's that number for? It's the call-in number. So if you want to call in and talk about any of your experiences, you can call in and we can everybody can hear you and we can talk about it. So that is the call-in number. Skeptic says, why do you want us to call you? Well, you're not just calling me. We're all having a conversation, and a lot of times people have something to say that really helps everybody that's watching. So when you call in, you can speak a little better than you can via chat. So we've had some really great calls that have had some really people have had some really good things to say that have really helped me and everybody else who's watching the show. So yeah, I haven't seen you in here very much, Skeptic, but we've had a lot of really great calls. People have shared some experiences and some advice. And sometimes people will call in and ask for advice, and somebody here in the chat can offer them, a word of encouragement, a bit of advice if there's a specific thing that they're having an issue with. It just makes the show a little bit more helpful. And the purpose of my show is not so much just to degrade the organization, but I really want to do things to try to help all of us, since we've left the organization, to move forward with our lives, because it's difficult. So the purpose of calling in is just so that people can share their experiences, elaborate a little bit more on whatever they want to talk about, because again, chat, you can only type so much. And yeah, that's why we call in. Hope that answered your question. What's going on, Aramis? It's good to see you, bro. Seventh Heaven said she's been having a cloudy headed day. That's okay. That's okay. What's going on, Willow? Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I've been really busy. So I tried to make sure I could get in here today to at least do this show today. So we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, I was thinking about after I had my little experience that I talked about on the last stream I did a few days ago, about mental health, and I've been really researching a lot. KB says the line is busy. Okay, hold on, KB. Give me 1 second, because I probably forgot to pay the Skype bill. More than likely, that's what it is. So give me 1 quick second. Let me check that out. I always forget to pay this because it's, I don't know, I just forget. It's not a one of my bills that I look at monthly. Maybe I need to do a little bit better with that. So give me 1 second. I'll do it while we're talking. So give me 1 moment, guys. Sorry about that. work on this. Something is going on with this thing. I don't know what's going on with it. Daryl Wahlberg has a mental problem. Really? Who is that dude? Tell me about that dude before while I'm getting started here. Hold on, let me set this thing up. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. I'll work on it. Something's wrong with Skype. I don't know what's going on with it. Let me check something out here. It's always something, guys. It is always something. Because I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. And KB always has great calls. So, yeah, I'm looking to see what's going on. He may have texted. He may have texted me on the Skype number that is not working right now. Give me 1 second to see what's going on here. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking about mental health and the way things have kind of happened since joining the organization and then leaving. And I went to the jw.org website because I wanted to see what their thoughts were on mental health. And it was really funny because it was there are a little bit of some contradictory things that the JW.org website says in relation to what they have said in the past. And I looked at it today and I thought, what is that all about? And why are they trying to say that this is okay? It was really weird. Let me go in here and figure this thing out because something is going wrong. All right. This would happen right while I'm streaming, but we'll see if I can fix it. Okay, guys, give me 1 second. Sorry. All right. It's always something, man. Hold on. It's always something. See if I can get this little issue worked out. We will get this party started. Okay, something is wrong with Skype, obviously. So, we may not be able to get calls today because it's not allowing me to do what I need to do to fix it. Let's try this one more time. Yeah, something's wrong with Skype. There's some issue with Skype. It's not working. Well, that sucks. Yeah, there's something wrong with Skype. So I'll try again in a little bit to see if I can get it up, but I think it's a Skype issue. It is a Skype issue. Um, okay, yeah. Something's wrong with Skype. So I'll try again here in a little bit. But what is interesting, I wanted to take a look at the jw.org website for a second because they have some very interesting things to say about mental health. Very interesting things to say. Yeah, Latanya, I'm going to try to get back into Skype here in a little bit and see if I can make it work. It's something wrong with it. It's not working. So every time I try to go in and do and make sure everything is working, it keeps saying it's not available right now. So I'll tell you what, guys, I'll try one more time because I feel like this is one that people will definitely have something great to say, and I would really like to be able to enable calls. I'm sorry, I checked it before and it was working. But I think it may have just been working because I made a call out just to make sure it was working. I didn't make a call in, and that may be the issue. That I didn't receive a call in, and so it's not working. But we will try one more time. Yeah, it keeps not being able to validate anything. All right. Well, I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, something interesting I saw on the jw.org website. They were talking about key facts that affect mental health. And one of the things that they talk about here, they have a section that says understanding mental disorders. And I found it very interesting that they would put this here. They will write so much about mental health, being that they're an organization that causes so much mental illness. Here, right under where it says understanding mental disorders, the paragraph reads, "What is mental illness? Experts define a mental disorder as a significant dysfunction in a person's thinking, emotional control, and behavior. The condition often disrupts a person's ability to relate to others and to deal with the demands of life." Now, being an organization, and I normally don't do shows like this where I'm bashing what they teach, but I think it's a little bit necessary at this point, because one of the things that they factor in as an issue with mental health is your ability to relate to others. And they are one of the main reasons that people have the inability to relate to others, either because they are so closed-minded that they don't listen to other people, or because they are unable to talk to somebody to even try to relate to them. It's very hypocritical to say that one of the symptoms of mental health, a mental health disorder, is someone's inability to relate to other people, when they preach a doctrine that causes people to be unable to relate to other people. And I found that very, very interesting. Yes, Skeptic, I tried to fix the Skype situation, but something is wrong with Skype's website. They're not allowing me to fix the situation. So I'll try again here in a few minutes. Once I get it fixed, I'll let everybody know. Another thing that they say in this same paragraph, though, it reads, "The severity of symptoms can vary in length and intensity depending on the individual and the particular ailment and circumstance. It can affect people of any gender, age, culture, race, religion, or educational and income level. Mental health disorders are not the result of personal weakness or a character flaw. Through appropriate medical care, individuals can be treated and live a productive and fulfilling life." Now here, it would seem that they are advocating someone getting treatment for a mental disorder. But throughout a lot of me being in the organization, for one, and a lot of the research that I've done over my course being here on YouTube, it seems that what they have been saying via the Watchtower and Awake magazines is a little bit contradictory to what they're saying on the jw.org website. And I wonder why the change is being made. It's so funny. They do so many manipulative things to make people, I think, on the outside feel as though they are a normal organization that treats the members of the organization like people that can do whatever they want to do. but that's not what they really say. Now let's look at the chat and see what what everyone is saying so far before we keep going, okay? KB says, I feel that articles that they write like that are deflection pieces. I now feel that they write articles that are supposedly educational, but I think they are actually deflecting from criticism. Very, very good point. Very good point. Willow B says, what about therapy? They don't allow that. Very good point, Willow B. KB says it's like the whole pedophile thing in the 80s. They rained fire and brimstone on the Catholic Church for that issue, and now I really feel it was a deflection of their own activity. Very good point. Marsha says that is a change. They try to handle it in-house. 7 says there is no real change being made. See, and that's what I think as well. That's what I think as well. Now, let's keep going in some of this website, the articles they have on the JW website. So, a bit further down in this paragraph that says treating mental disorders, the first paragraph says mental health professionals can treat many mental health disorders successfully. The first crucial step, then, is to obtain a thorough assessment from a competent health professional who is experienced in treating mental conditions. It continues, sufferers, however, can benefit from such experience only when they accept suitable treatment. This may require overcoming any reluctance to talk to others about a mental illness. Treatment may include talking to trained mental health professionals who can help them understand their illness, resolve practical problems, and reinforce the need not to give up the treatment. At such consultations, a family member or friend can play a vital role by providing reassurance and support. All right. So right now, this stuff sounds amazing, right? It sounds real good. It sounds really, really good. This organization is really trying to help people maintain their mental health. Good stuff, right? Good stuff, guys. Yeah, good stuff, guys. They are really, really helping. Latanya Smith says, hey, Watchtower Society, why don't you do a full disclosure to your followers so they can get on with their lives and reunite with their families? Interesting question. Alicia says, and yet something is seriously wrong in that org. Why in the world would that many people need to be on medication to treat mental illness? Very good question, Alicia. Paul Brumfield says, my mom really needed therapy after my holier-than-thou father left her for a younger woman. The elders told her she just needed to study and pray more. That sounds very familiar. Very familiar. Now, let's go to this next paragraph. Something very interesting here as well. Spiritual health is vital. Now check this out. The Bible does not indicate that spirituality cures medical problems. Still, many families around the world have derived much comfort and strength from what the Bible teaches. For instance, the Bible assures us that our loving Creator is keenly interested in consoling those who are broken-hearted and crushed in spirit. Now listen to that. Listen to what they are saying right there, guys. I mean, really listen to that. Our loving Creator is keenly interested in consoling those who are broken-hearted and crushed in spirit. So does that only apply, according to them, to the people who are still in the organization? Because as we all know, those of us who have left the organization, and I would wager a lot of them who are in the organization currently, are brokenhearted and crushed in spirit, especially if they've been told they can't speak to their son or their daughter or their husband or their mother and father or whoever was a family of a member or friend. That's not going to cause them to be brokenhearted and crushed in spirit when there's no reason that biblically that you can state that you are supposed to do that. And they are, again, not accepting responsibility for their part in causing these mental disorders. And that again goes to what I was saying in the last show I did, where I was speaking about, I feel like the governing body are a group of narcissists, and narcissistic people don't have the ability to empathize with the feelings of other people. They do not accept responsibility for their behavior. At no point in this article do they accept, and nor will they ever, in my opinion, accept responsibility for the fact that they are doing things that are causing serious mental harm to the people who are in the organization and the people who have left the organization. At no point do they accept responsibility for this behavior. Let's go back to the chat for a second. KB says, Willow B says, pray more. That's their go-to answer. It is. It really is. KB says, and what kind of mental state do they think will come about when you isolate someone from their family and their whole social, spiritual community? Exactly. Alicia says, that's not how the brothers treated them. Okay. Marsha says, just got shunned from a graduation. Hurts really bad. I would imagine so. I would imagine so. How long ago were you shunned? When was the when did that happen? When did that happen? When did that happen? Tell us about that. Daniel Brown says, my mom has admitted to depression a few times. I can't help but feel her affiliation with the org and having to raise my autistic brother contribute to her mental state. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does, but no one wants to admit that. Marsha says, yesterday. Wow, so it is a fresh wound. I am so sorry to hear that, Marsha. I'm very sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that. Let me see if I can get this. I'm going to try one more time to see if this Skype thing is going to work. Let's try this one more time, guys. Yeah, Skype is still down. Dag. Skype is still down. It's going to take some time, Marsha. It's very difficult. We've pretty much everyone here has experienced what you're going through, and it really really sucks. And it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. But one thing about being in this group, and being on these live streams, everyone here knows what you're going through, and everyone here is really good at helping everybody deal with the things that we're going through. It's not easy, and it takes time, and it's a process. And I had to go to therapy myself to get through a lot of the things that I was dealing with, as a result of leaving the organization. And for a long time, I just didn't go. I just thought I would be okay, and I could deal with it by myself. But going to therapy it really helped me a lot. It really did. The Watchtower does a ton of gaslighting to their current and former followers. They really do. And I just really kind of learned what that term gaslighting was. Let's keep reading what they say here. Now, in that same paragraph, it says, while the Bible is not a healthcare book, it provides practical guidance that can help us to cope with painful emotions and distressing circumstances. The Bible can also give us hope for a future when life on earth will be free of illness and pain. God's word promises at that time the eyes of the blind will be opened and the ears of the deaf will be unstopped. At that time the lame will leap like the deer, and the tongue of the speechless will shout for joy. Now, I'm not really sure what exactly that has to do with mental health, but yeah, that's what it says. Now, let's look at some of the things that it suggests that you do to deal with mental disorders. Dealing with mental disorders. 1. Follow the treatment prescribed by qualified mental health professionals. Okay. 2. Maintain a balanced and stable daily routine. Okay. Stay physically active. Get out there and slang them magazines. Walk all day slanging them magazines. Number 4. Get enough sleep. Okay. Number 5. This one is hilarious. Take time each day to relax. Now, how many people that were part of the organization felt like they never had time to relax because of all the things that they were asked to do to be viewed as a competent member of the organization? Okay. 6. Eat a nutritious and balanced diet. 7. Limit alcohol consumption and drugs that are not prescribed for you. Okay. 7. Limit alcohol consumption and drugs that are not prescribed for you. They had the nerve to actually say that, guys. Limit alcohol consumption and drugs that are not prescribed for you. Limit alcohol consumption and drugs that are not prescribed for you. But I think we all know what this is, right? Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is a narcissist in action. Because this is the guy that is over the entire governing body.
I see you're a fan of Scotch. Do you know anything about Irish?
This is the guy that is over the entire governing body. So he had a hand in talking about limiting alcohol consumption and drugs, as he is seen here purchasing $900 worth of alcohol. Okay? Hilarious. How can you bring yourself to even print this, knowing that this is something that you do? And it's not the first time. This is not the first time that this person has done this. And I'm only doing this as a way to show that this type of behavior is the kind of behavior that actually causes people to have these problems, because they are living or trying to live up to a standard that is not being set by the people who are asking them to live up to that standard. They are asking people to do a whole lot more than they are doing. How can you tell someone something like that, but those people are able to see that you're not doing that, but they will be penalized for doing the same things that you are doing? That can cause somebody to break, man, especially when it's someone who has believed that for their entire lives, especially like those of us who are born in, like me, and you see this your whole life. You see that you've been asked to live this certain way, but you see people who are higher up than you not living that way, and they aren't penalized, but you are. And even before you're penalized, you live in the fear of being penalized, especially if you feel like, okay, I might be disfellowshipped, I might be publicly reproved, I might be privately reproved. All these fears are constantly in your mind all the time. That is a huge mental burden to carry, and it's going to cause people to have these mental breakdowns. Let's look at the chat for a second. Guys, yeah, I'm sorry. There is an issue with Skype. For some reason, it's not allowing me to fix this problem. I don't know why, but let me try one more thing. I think I may just try this. Maybe this will work if Skype cooperates with me. Let's see what happens. Let's try one more little thing, because I'm sure everyone has something to say about this one. Everybody's trying to call in. They're like, I'm trying to call in, it's not working. Let's see here. I'm going to keep trying until it works. Yeah, for some reason it just isn't. Let's see. It just is not working. So anyway, yes. Willow B says she tried to call. Yeah, I'm trying to fix it, but it's not working. KB says I was always tired in the organization, exhausted, and I was in my 20s, tired all the time. Yep. Alicia says Morris, do as I say, not as I do. Yes. KB says to Daniel, yes, obsessed by death. And she's not the only one. I've heard that so many times. So many people have talked about how they were literally obsessed with being destroyed. And even when I was married, my wife, who was in the organization, would always say, I remember we had a conversation and she said, I don't want you to be destroyed because you don't believe anymore. I know you're going to be destroyed if you keep going the way you're going, and I don't want you to be destroyed. And I literally said, will you stop saying the word destroyed. I am not going to be destroyed because of the way I think. And she was literally fearful that I was going to be destroyed because of the way I believed. And I thought that was completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Let me see if I can do something else to get the calls to work. Hold on, because I really want to hear what everyone has to say. Let's see here. No, that's going to be too much to do, but we'll see. We'll get to it. We'll fix it. So, the fear is real, guys. The fear is real. Now, look at number 8. Look at number 8. Avoid isolation. Spend time with people whom you trust and who care for you. Look at that, man. Look at that. Look at that. Avoid isolation. Spend time with people whom you trust and who care for you. Is that not the most hypocritical thing that they could print? An organization that tells you to shun the people that you love the most and the people that you grew up with and the people that you actually trust more than anyone. They are telling you to spend time for your mental health. Spend time with the ones you love the most. That is so contradictory and ridiculous. So contradictory and ridiculous. Seven says, yep, my mom used to talk to me about that destroyed crap, but they were taught that way. It's ridiculous. Willow B, they try to throw in that you will let your family, friends, and congregation down if you basically be yourself. Guilt trip tactic. But then they say you're responsible for your own actions. Yes. Exclusive Princess says, yes, exact. Okay, yeah. 1111 says, we lived in fear 24/7, fear of sinning, fear of the elders, fear of death, fear of Armageddon. For me, even fear of field service because I'm scared of dogs and I don't like approaching strangers. And a great comment, 1111. And also, you live in fear of not getting enough field service time. You live in fear of saying, oh God, if I don't have enough time, if I don't have enough field service time, it's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to say something. I'm going to get looked at as I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not doing enough for Jehovah. And that's another thing that people have anxiety about. I used to always have anxiety about that too. It got to the point where I literally would have one of the elders, because at that time my mother wasn't going to the Kingdom Hall, and so I had to find a way to get to the hall myself. And in doing that, I would get the elder, one of the elders, to come pick me up and take me out in field service, because I was afraid that if I didn't have enough time, I wouldn't get baptized. And so I was always trying to make sure I had enough time, make sure I had enough hours in the service. And it never really seemed like it was enough. It always seemed like, okay, when I was trying to get baptized, it would they would tell me that you don't have enough field service time. It doesn't seem like you're working hard enough. You're not doing enough yet. And it took a long time because I didn't even really have time to go out and field service that much at that time, but I was going anyway because I really, really wanted to get baptized. I didn't have transportation. I didn't have a way to get there. And so they said, well, you're not putting forth enough effort in the ministry, so you can't get baptized yet. So that was always an issue for me because I was trying and it didn't work. It just wouldn't work. I couldn't do enough. And then when I finally started to get to the point where I could actually go over the questions, then they finally allowed me to be a part of the questions. But yeah. So let's take a look at. There was one more thing I want to talk about too. Give me 1 second. Here's an interesting fact that they quote as well. Let's look at that. Under the paragraph Key Facts About Mental Health, the third paragraph says, although most mental disorders are treatable, in the United States, approximately 60% of adults and almost 50% of youths aged 8 to 15 with a mental disorder did not receive treatment in the past year, reports the National Alliance on Mental Health. Now, that having been said, why haven't so many people now, if that many people in the country have mental illness and they haven't gotten treatment, then we know for a fact that there are people in the organization who aren't getting treatment as well. And why do you think that they aren't getting treatment in the organization? There has to be a reason, because I know for a fact it was something that was frowned upon when I was in the organization. Getting treatment, medical treatment like that was frowned upon. It was very frowned upon. Now, before we go to some of the other points that they've said in the past about getting mental help, let's look at we'll look at some of the things that they've said in the past. KB says, I am deeply concerned about their cavalier attitude toward the lives and well-being of children. And I have to ask, is that because they actually serve death and think their lives don't really matter anyway because of the new system? It's a very valid question. Daniel Brown says, at my hall, an elder's wife wouldn't sit through the whole meetings. She'd always end up in the little back room just crying her eyes out. It's ridiculous, man. Miss Montblanc, how you doing, Miss Montblanc? Name withheld, how are you? Ms. Blanc says, and they always wanted you to pioneer. They always stressed pioneering. And like you said, yeah, that's recruitment, getting more members. Willow B says, none of them get the help they needed because all those people were in the org. They would just say it was the demons. Ms. Blanc also says, I hated field service, and I did too. I hated field service. Seventh says, I think some of these articles are written for outsiders looking in. Those on the inside should know the society works differently. We certainly know it. And I agree. They know for a fact, just like with some of the other talking points that we've discussed in the past, they know for a fact that what they are preaching to other people is not what they actually believe or teach to the people once they're inside the organization. It's just like, again, with the narcissism. It's a facade that they put up. Narcissists don't like for people to see how they really are. They much rather would have someone believe the facade that they are putting on. And all of the things that they're saying sound really, really good. They sound super good, but the things that they are saying are not what they actually teach. So it's a lie. It's a facade. And keeping up that facade is very difficult for the people who don't realize that it's a facade. I think it's easy for the governing body to keep it up because they have to know that what they're doing is what they're saying is not true. And that's been one thing I've asked of myself several times. Are they willfully lying to people? Or are they unknowingly lying to people? Do they honestly believe what they're saying is the truth? Or are they just religion hustling? Either way, it's wrong. But for the sake of trying to figure out whether they are narcissistic or not, I have to wonder if they're doing it purposefully or not. What do you guys think? Are these people, one, are they narcissistic? And two, are they doing these things purposefully, willfully, knowing that what they're asking the people in the organization to do is not what the Bible is asking them to do? Do you think that they really believe what they are teaching, what they are preaching? Let's look at the chat. What you guys say? Tell me something. Tell me what you think, guys. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think, guys. And I'm trying to get this Skype thing to work one more time. Give me 1 second. Let's try this one more time. Let's see if we can get it to work this time. Guess not. I guess Skype is just really not going to work for us today, guys. It's just not going to work for us. Let me see here. Yeah, it's not working. So what do you guys think? Let's look at the chat, guys. Miss Montblanc says, I'm sorry, Marcia says, I had a death scare 1.5 years ago, turned down blood out for 12 and they still had their hooks in. And finally faced it, I'm going to die. Since then, I'm letting it go more and more. Very good. Miss Montblanc says, mental illness in JWs is rampant, and if you seeked treatment, you were subject to punishment. Name with Hell says, there's an article titled, You'll Never Find the Watchtower Awake, How to Leave a Controlling Cult That Claims Direction from God. Ms. Montblanc says another form of brainwashing. Daniel says, my mom isn't pressured to pioneer or give parts because of my little bro. I know that's been a huge relief for her. Because before my bro, she'd skip meetings and turn down assignments for parts. Nelson says, they want to keep you busy so you don't have time to think outside what is printed in their books and Watchtower. I agree. Latanya says they just think Jehovah will take care of everything. Wait on Jehovah. Ugh. Miss Montblanc says willfully lying and leading sheep to slaughter. Seventh says, I think they're religion hustling for sure. Based on what I hear YouTubers like Smurf Girl have said, it's some behind closed doors, real satanic stuff going on. That is something I've heard too. I've researched that as well. Alicia says, I think narcissism definitely plays a part, but the crazy thing is many of the leaders actually do believe in their BS. And see, that's the thing. I think some of them believe it too. Daniel says, I think most JWs believe that they will die and wake up in paradise. None of them really expect to live through something like a great tribulation. Really? You think so? Latanya says, they're cult leaders. They know they're lying. Today Forever. What's up, Today Forever? She says, narcissistic people always do things purposefully and willingly. They know. Just riding the wave until it collapses. All JWs are unknowingly groomed to be narcissistic. Agreed, Today Forever. And that is something that I have been thinking about more and more. The more research I do on narcissism, the more I realize that it is something that is really seems to be really prevalent in the organization. It seems like it's really prevalent. All right, guys, so this is what I'm going to do, because I feel like everybody has some good points to make, and I want to see if we can at least get them. So what I'll do, I'll put this number. I have a second line on my phone. And what I'll do is, if you call that number, then I'll just put the phone on speaker, and hopefully everyone will still be able to hear what's going on. What's going on, Great Dane? She says, just got in from work. I'll sit in the back. So if you guys want to call in, call that number, and we'll see how that works out. We will see how that number works out. We will see if that number can work for us. We will see if that works out. Let's see here. Let me try one more thing to make sure this might work. Okay.
You've reached Keith Fitz.
All right. So we will see if that works. If you guys want to call in, try that number. We'll see if it works. So if anybody wants to call, try that number and we'll see if that works. All right. Marsha said we got all dolled up. We can't Skype. Well, try that number. Try that number, guys. See if that number works. So if you want to call in, we'll try my second line number on my phone and see if we can get that to work. All right. So please call in. You are more than welcome to call in. I definitely want to hear what you have to say. And I think everyone else here too does too. I think someone just called. Try to call again. I think right when I got ready to pick up, you hung up. So call back, guys. Whoever that was, call back. Latanya says, leaders rarely believe what they teach their followers or call themselves by the same name they require the followers to call themselves by. Hence, so many Freemasons in the org. Interesting. Interesting. Willow B, call back. I tried to pick up, and right when I picked up, I think you hung up. Miss Montblanc says, KB says, I even put my clean shirt on. I don't do that on a Sunday. That's funny. Willow B, try again, because right when I got ready to pick up the phone, it hung up. Ms. Montblanc says, Kay, you are doing a great thing here. Mental illness in the organization is real, but recovery is starting here on this forum. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. See, that's what's, see, Willow B, see. I should call you back. That's what I should do, because your number is here. I should just call you back. If I call you back, will you pick the phone up? If I call you back, will you pick the phone up, Willow B? All right, let's see who we have here. All right, you on with K Fitz. What's your name? Where you calling from? All right, you are on with K Fitz. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm Latanya.
What's going on, Latanya? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, what's on your mind?
Wow, it's working. Yay.
We made it work. We made it work. It's a little janky, but we made it work.
Yes. This discussion, I've been giving this a lot of thought throughout 2018, which was the year that I did a lot of waking up and grieving because of the indoctrination and everything, and waking up and making a lot of adjustments with crisis of conscience. But this thing about mental illness is starting to answer a lot of questions for me that of things that I've seen over the years. And when I look back, I noticed that when you talk about anything that's off of what they're being taught, it I get the impression that from their reaction when I tried to talk to them, and this was still when I thought it was the truth. I just they seem to react in a way that I feel that they're not emotionally and mentally able to handle something different until until they're ready. And what I've noticed too, what I've been studying about narcissism and mental health and things like that, I'm starting to see and wonder there's a lot of different things going on with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
For one thing, I wouldn't be surprised if they are dealing with a certain amount of Stockholm syndrome.
Agreed.
I don't. I wouldn't be surprised if, and there's a lot of things that they're dealing with. That first of all, they're living in fear all the time. You got even XJWs making the YouTube videos about how some of them still have nightmares about the Great Tribulation and Armageddon. So that's going on. And then because the Watchtower Society has disarmed them for things like not asking questions and the thing about silencing when their brain starts to go to asking legitimate questions. They're taught not to do that, so they have the I keep forgetting with thought stopping technique. And then you got I would still kind of say the friends because I'm hoping they'll come out, but then you got that they're dealing with trying to make things fit that don't fit what they're being told. And then you've got them, their brain trying to do this acrobat where they're trying to believe two things that oppose each other. And that causes a lot of, that affects the brain mentally and physically. And so I don't think that I am mentioning even, probably I'm not mentioning half of what is going on, because look at how we change when we wake up and we come out and we start putting pieces together. And it takes a while to do that. And we need counseling and a whole host of stuff.
That's true. That's a very, very good point.
But I've seen some things in the organization to where they react in ways that make you feel they're emotionally fragile and they're mentally fragile. Until see, with myself, when I started waking up, one of the things that I was doing was I was on YouTube and I was watching my favorite drama, and then I saw the Australia Royal Commission little blue square there, and I clicked into that. And then what I ended up doing is I bookmarked all of them from day 1 to day 8. And then I just held on to that for 2 years because I knew with myself I had to make sure that I was emotionally ready, because I knew that it was gonna be hard, and I knew I had to really talk to myself, and I had to say, okay, if I'm really for truth, then I'm gonna have to be willing to go where I need to go and ask the questions I need to ask and listen to things I don't want to hear. And
very valid point. Very good point, Latanya.
Yeah, so when you're dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's like, if they're not there yet, and then some people do well just waking up suddenly. I don't know if I could have or not, but when I look back now, I found that I really had to take some time to mentally prepare for the answers that I was going to find, and I had to keep this in mind. And shout out to XJW Critical Thinker, is I would rather get questions that I can't answer, that can't be
Exactly.
So in that 2-year period, when I was watching other stuff to try to keep my mind on it so I can prepare for it at my slow rate, I was watching things like Farscape, Sci-Fi TV, things like that. But when I was watching and doing other things, in the back of my mind, I was in a grieving process.
Okay.
I was grieving like someone died.
Okay.
And I had to really just make sure I was ready, because some of these people, you know, I just think that the Watchtower Society has disarmed them in a way that they're not mentally and emotionally and psychologically ready to handle stuff. And you know, I don't mean to blab so much, but
No, you're great. You're great. I'm literally just listening to you because what you're saying is so spot on.
yeah, and as I right now, I'm happy to be on Kim Mikey's last coffin lid just before this last one. I was happy about that, but well, that's for another discussion. But now I'm at the point that I'm enjoying you guys, and I'm making other plans in my life, like getting back fit again. But at the same time, I'm still trying to make a decision about whether I'm going to do videos and do activist work. Because I have some plans of things that I know is going to be a lot of work. Working with the counseling community here in Battle Creek where I live.
Okay.
And also working with the legal system to raise awareness of what's going on with Jehovah's Witnesses. But right now, I got to take time to heal myself before I do the battle, because I know it's going to be quite a bit. And then I've got to go back and go through this literature so I can start talking to them in a way that, you know, that they will hear me. I don't know. I'm out of the organization now, so I just have to think outside the box, out of the box, and find out how I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm sharing videos like yours on Facebook, and the people, and I'm getting some responses. I got witnesses saying, "Did you know you just shared on the Apostate website?" And that's an opening for me to give them Australia Royal Commission, the United Nations, and Henrietta M. Riley, all of those things, and to give them the website, legitimate websites to go to.
There you go.
And also Jason Zelda, all of those that that they'll feel safe to listen to, because they're not Jehovah's Witnesses.
Gotcha.
Something like, yeah.
Well, LaTanya, you are getting great response from the chat. Thank you so much for calling and sharing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll see you in the chat.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. All right. Yes. LaTanya, thank you so much. Everything that you were saying is really, really, really spot on. And that actually plays into another aspect of it, because even like she said, once you leave, you still have that mental block of being fearful of talking about the organization. I mean, look at it, guys. How many times have we had this live stream, and so many people in the chat have said, "I want to call, but I'm afraid to call." Think about that. This is an organization that all of us have left, and most of us are still afraid to talk about it. Think about what that means, that the organization has done to our brains, to where how many of us, if it was any other circumstance in our life that was something that was done to us that was so diabolical and negative, and we went away from it, and there's no immediate painful consequence for talking about it, How many of us would be afraid to talk about that thing? If someone stole something from us, we would be so ready to be like, that mother stole something from me. Or somebody wrecked your property. That mother wrecked my property. But we have this same instance where someone stole time. They stole our brains. They stole our identities. They wrecked our way of thinking. They wrecked the way we actually see the entire world. And we went away from it. And we're no longer in the presence of that. But some of us are still afraid to talk about it. That shows you the extent of the mental work that has been done to us and the extent of the mental illness that still resides in a lot of us, which is why I want to do these shows, because there has to be a point at which we reach a point where we're no longer afraid to speak out about it. Like Latanya said, she wants to be an activist. She wants to have a hand in helping more people hear about these things. But right now she's not ready because she has so much work that she feels like she needs to do on herself. Excuse me. So that is indicative of the damage that has been done to us mentally over the years. And you think about it, if you look at even research on narcissistic relationships, they talk about how long it takes to heal from a relationship with a narcissistic person. It takes a long time. It's a lot of work. And the thing is, even when you're in that situation, you may not even realize that you're in that situation. I think we have another call. Let's see who this is. All right, caller, you are on with K Fitz. What's your name and where you? Oh, hold on. All right, caller, you are on with K Fitz. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is KB.
What's going on, KB?
Not too much. How are you?
I am amazing, KB. What's on your mind?
Well, I was just listening to what you were saying about people being out of the organization and still being afraid to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very real thing, and it's something that I encounter with my ex-JW friends that I grew up with. They still are very afraid of saying anything negative about the organization, particularly afraid of saying anything negative about the governing body. And that, because it's almost like they act as if like a lightning bolt is going to come out of the sky, and if they say something, about, any member of the governing body, as if these weren't men, like, as if they were almost deities. But I think what that is just testament to how thorough the behavioral conditioning is of the Jehovah's Witnesses, that you are being conditioned continuously through those meetings, through the watchtower, to form certain types of behaviors that create. There's no secret that behavioral conditioning is real. It alters the brain. It creates different neural pathways, just like Pavlov's dogs. And so there are certain things, certain words, certain triggers that will cue that conditioning. And I think even as witnesses leave the organization, you can tell that they have these triggers. One huge trigger is demons. If you say demons or anything that is alluding to that, you could see an XJW just crumble.
Very good
something's
point,
about to come out of the wall at them. I think another huge trigger or conditioning that is sort of like a trigger word is anything associated with death. Because this organization has an unhealthy preoccupation and obsession with death.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have people who are still, suffering from what appears to be some kind of post-traumatic stress syndrome around dying. And, having these paranoias, these little fears about just nonsense things. Most ex-Jehovah's Witnesses still suffer from some kind of persecution complex, thinking that people are after them, or thinking that they can't go anywhere and be trustful of, situations, or different ones who are not Jehovah's Witnesses. So the detriment has really long-lasting effects, because the reality is that you have physiologically been altered. Your neural pathways have been altered through behavioral conditioning. And that's why it's so difficult to pull that back, because you have to create new pathways, new behaviors to counteract what was done to you.
Very good point.
I get passionate about this because it's so upsetting to me, especially when I see different ones who are still struggling in a lot of ways, and also like how I struggle in a lot of ways too. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Man, KB, you are on point with that comment. We're going to talk about that for a minute. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, we'll see you in the chat.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Man, that was a very real topic. Guys, think about this. What she was saying was so true, because I find that there are so many different little things that happen here and there that remind me of being in the organization. Like I've spoken about before, there was a time when I couldn't even wear a suit because it reminded me of the organization. I literally had no suits for years because every time I saw a suit or put on a suit, it made me think about being a Jehovah's Witness. So I couldn't wear suits. I literally, for years, I only wore sweatpants, tank tops, shorts, and jeans. That was the extent of my library. I mean, not library, my wardrobe. And then, I don't know if anybody else would get this one, but there were so many. Oh, really quickly, shout out to XJW Critical Thinker. I love you guys' channel so much. You guys just released one, I think, about, I watched it with JT talking about being a Bethelite. It was part 1 and part 2. Very good series. So if you haven't seen that one, definitely check those 2 out. I think they just posted them recently. So XJW, thank you, Critical Thinker. I am honored to even have you in the chat. You guys do such great work, so thank you for coming through. I really appreciate it. But there are so many pictures on the magazines where the title will have something to do with Jehovah, and there will be a cloud, and there will be sun rays coming from behind the clouds. And every time, if I'm outside, this might be reaching, but this is just me. If I'm outside and I look up in the sky and there's a cloud covering the sun, but you can still see the sun rays coming from behind the clouds, it always triggers me to think about the Watchtower or Awake magazines or any publication that they've made where the cover of that magazine says something about Jehovah and the sun rays were coming from behind the clouds. That's a trigger for me. If I hear a song and if the melody even somehow remotely resembles the melody of a kingdom song, I think about a kingdom song, and then it'll be in my head all day. And then I'll stop and start thinking, why am I thinking about this song? I can't get this song out of my head. It makes me so upset. It was a long time. I like horror movies a lot. I love horror movies. But it was a long time where if the horror movie had anything to do with the supernatural, or like KB was saying, if it was if a title had the word demon in it, or if someone talked about the word demon, I would always cringe. Just like she said, I was so scared of those little triggers, man. There were always so many. But that's the thing, the mental health and the mental illnesses that we have to deal with coming out of that organization are deeply rooted. They don't just go away. it's it's the same way if you're a parent and you've taught your kid some life lesson. It doesn't go away just because your kid grows up and moves away. Your kid is still going to remember those things that you taught, or those kids are going to remember things that you did, good or bad. Those things don't go away. The same way we are with our parents, or I am with my parents. Some of the good things that they said have not gone away, but some of the bad things that they've done or said haven't gone away either. And this is the same way in this organization, though. A lot of the indoctrination I've gotten past simply because I've gotten older and I've woken up and I've done enough research to no longer think those same ways. But a lot of it is just so ingrained that it happens at a subconscious level. You won't even think about it. It just happens. And then you find yourself dealing with the aftermath of that trigger. And sometimes it can be something that doesn't really bother you that much, or it can be something that bothers you greatly. And then you have to deal with feeling like you're starting over again, you know? Let's look at the chat. Let's see what's up. What's going on, High Conscious Dave? It's good to see you in here. I mean, Honest Conscious Dave. I usually just call you HCD. It's good to see you in the chat, brother. It is good to see you in the chat. Wendy Sloan says, how many of us voted in the 2016 election? I haven't had a show about politics because so many of us know absolutely nothing about politics. And when people start talking about politics, it took a long time for me to just even stop thinking, oh, I'm not going to talk about politics. Politics don't matter because God, we don't get involved in politics. Voting doesn't matter. And what was the phrase that they would always say? There's no organization that's man-made that's going to solve the problems of the world. We have to wait for Jehovah because his is the only organization that will solve the problems of mankind. So I didn't even think about voting. I didn't even think about voting at all. Wendy Sloan says, because we were bored to death during some meetings, we can go into trance easily. Ms. Montblanc says, I really hated those monotone songs. HCD says, then if you fade, their tactics go to obligation burdening, guilt tripping, and shame blaming to complete the fogs for their WIG on their TMS. Okay. Oh man, thanks for the calls, guys. Two great calls. I know there were some other people that wanted to call earlier, so if you want to call in, please call in. I'll post the number again. Hopefully by next time I'll have this situation fixed so we can do it the normal way, but this will work for right now. Alicia says, so you couple all of the issues we are left with, along with grieving the loss of our loved ones, to that religion, and it's a tragedy. It really is. Miss Bailey too says, I hope so. An elderly sister died and I went to her memorial. One elder said hi and everyone else stared. One sister refused to look me in the eye. Don't miss anyone. That is tragic, man. And that's the stuff that we have to deal with, because it's another part of dealing with narcissistic abuse is that you still crave some type of acceptance from the narcissist. If you're in a narcissistic relationship, the narcissist will do what they call a discard, where they will basically count you off. They will cast you away and behave as if you never existed as a part of their life. And they will do no contact. They won't contact you in any way. They won't allow you to contact them in any way. And it causes you to not have any type of closure in a relationship with someone. You just, one day you're a family and the next day you're not. And it causes you to still innately desire to have some type of acceptance from the people who have done something that you know in your heart is wrong and they shouldn't treat you that way. And you know it. You know that they shouldn't treat you that way. Your brain, your mind tells you that is wrong. You shouldn't treat someone that way. And what they're doing to you is horrible. And you know it. You know it with every fiber of your being. You know that this is wrong. They shouldn't treat me this way. But still, there's a part of you that wishes, I wish they wouldn't treat me that way. I wish they would accept me. If they would just say hi one time, if they would just look me in the face and acknowledge that I am freaking living, it would feel so good. It would give me a little bit of life. And you don't get it. And the narcissist knows that that's what you want. And so they hide behind saying something like, we are doing this because we know that if we give you that little bit of acknowledgement, that it won't be enough, that it might be enough for you to not return to Jehovah. When in actuality, it's, I know that if I give you that little bit of acknowledgement, it might be enough for you to not conform your entire identity into the identity that I want you to become, or that I want you to be. Me ignoring you and discarding you and going into no contact is my way of punishing you for not mending your mind to what I want your mind to think like. It has absolutely nothing to do with Jehovah, the Bible, or any of that. It completely has to do with wanting to be able to control your entire way of thinking. And it's so diabolical and so crafty and so hurtful. And for someone to be able to do that to so many people for so many years is one of the things that makes me think, okay, this is something that has been constructed knowingly, because they know the psychology of the people that are underneath them. I would wager that there is, at some point and some level in the organization, somebody that understands the psychology of the human mind. They understand the ways to get people hooked. They understand the ways to get people to absolve their identity. They know the ways to get someone to absolve their individuality. They know how to make men much more malleable and meek and weak. And the same with women. They know how to make women much more meek and weak minded. They know how to program people. They're like coders, and they understand the way to write the code to make your brain spit out the desired result that they want from the programming. It has to be. There's no way it can be this successful without some underlying understanding of the psychology of the human mind. And this whole spiel about mental illness that they have on jw.org is just another way of manipulating people outside the organization to come into the organization so that they can then switch it to be something else. Now let's just for a second, let's look at some of their past, the past things that they have said about mental illness. Hold on one second. Now let's look at this right here. This is from The Watchtower, 1990, September 1st, page 15. Now listen to this, guys. I'm just going to read this whole thing. The sister then told her how a knowledge of Bible truth had helped her. She had lost an 18-year-old daughter in death and had gone into a state of deep depression for 8 years. Neither psychiatrists nor costly medications helped her to overcome this depression. Several times, she said, she was hospitalized, but no improvement resulted. Her household was taken care of by servants because she herself was not able to take care of anything. She tried to commit suicide because she had lost interest in life. Nothing seemed to help. Then she told the lady one day Jehovah's Witnesses called and left her some Bible literature. That sparked her interest in God's Word, and she began to read the Bible all the way through. Something started to change within her. She began to get up in the morning and take an interest in her household. She finally decided to take care of the house by herself and found she was able to do so. It was as though she had never been sick. This made her feel very happy. She did not return to the psychiatrist. Her will to live was stimulated by her knowledge of God's Word, and this proved to be the best medicine. She looked for Jehovah's Witnesses, and they started a regular study with her. She also began to attend meetings, and very soon she got baptized. No longer bothered with depression, she now finds joy in serving Jehovah. Now, let's look at the next one. Watchtower, 1988, October 15th, page 29. What, though, about accepting treatment from a psychiatrist or a psychologist? This would be a personal decision to be made with due caution. Now listen to that sentence. This would be a personal decision to be made with due caution. Now listen to, hold on, let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. Now, right here, it says, this would be a personal decision to be made with due caution. Then right here it says, mental health professionals can treat many mental health disorders successfully. The first crucial step then is to obtain a thorough assessment from competent health professional who is experienced in treating mental conditions. This would be a personal decision to be made with due caution. Okay, look. See, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that. It's stuff like that that adds to people having as much mental illness as they do, because we've dealt with so much contradiction. It's like at what point do you believe what they're saying? Because another article will come out completely contradicting what they just said in the last one. Let's continue on that little one right there. So it says, what, though, about accepting treatment from a psychiatrist or a psychologist? This would be a personal decision to be made with due caution. Of even more concern is the fact that some well-intentioned practitioners have given advice that flatly contradicts the Bible. Does the physician understand and respect the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses? Therein lies a problem. Therein lies a problem. Therein lies a problem. What if the physician says you being a part of this organization is directly contributing to your mental illness? What happens then? What happens then? Because how many times, if you go to a physician, like I did, if you go to a therapist and you tell that therapist, one of the reasons I'm having mental issues is because my family shunned me. And the therapist says, well, why are they shunning you? What do you mean? What do you mean shunning? Well, I was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. This happened to me. I'm quoting from my visit with a therapist. I was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And since I grew up and I left that organization, my family doesn't want to speak to me anymore. Well, how do you feel about that? It hurts. It's horrible. None of the people I grew up with, my family, they don't speak to me anymore. They act as if I'm no longer living. My therapist said, "Yeah, I've heard about that with Jehovah's Witnesses. I've done a lot of research about Jehovah's Witnesses, and it's very how did he phrase it? It's very hurtful to people's mental states to have that happen to them." Now, see, there's a conundrum. So if you go to a therapist seeking help, and then the therapist says the very thing that you've dedicated your life to is one of the things that is contributing to your mental state, what is that person then going to do? If they're still indoctrinated, they're not going to go see that psychiatrist anymore. They're not. They're going to believe what this paragraph just said. Does the physician understand and respect the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses? If that therapist says that that organization is directly contributing to your mental illness, the Jehovah's Witness is going to look at that as if that therapist is not respecting the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. Therefore, he can't see that therapist anymore. He's going to have to stop going. He or she is going to have to stop going. And what does that do for their mental health? Nothing. It just makes it worse. It makes it the same or worse. It may make it worse because they're thinking, dang, I wanted to see a therapist, and the therapist told me what I'm doing is causing me to have mental problems, but I can't leave the organization because I'll be destroyed. And before I'm destroyed, I'm going to lose my whole family, which adds more fear and more anxiety and more mental problems. It's a catch-22. Only in this case, the catch-22 gets worse. It gets worse. Now let's look at some of the other things that they've said. Hold on. Let me find this article. All right, so we're going to be right here. Awake, 1975, August 22nd, page 25. Is the turning of people from the clergy to the psychiatrist a healthy phenomenon? No, for it really is a case of jumping from the frying pan into the fire. They are worse off than they were before. That they are not the ones to go to for help when one is depressed and beset with all manner of problems is to be seen from the fact that suicides among them are twice as frequent as among the population in general. What is needed at such times is not worldly psychiatrists who may wholly ignore the change that the truth and God's Holy Spirit have made in one's life, and who knows nothing of their power to help one put on a new Christian personality. Rather, what is needed at such times is a mature Christian in whom one has confidence and who is vitally interested in one's welfare and who will not shrink back from administering needed reproof or counsel so that one may get healed. And one who is vitally interested in one's welfare and who will not shrink back from administering needed reproof or counsel so that one may get healed. That is some BS. That is some BS. They are basically saying that you need somebody. It's like it's like having a kid that has a mental disorder, and instead of getting the kid help for the mental disorder, you're just going to constantly reprove or punish the child. I need to keep telling him what he's doing wrong because that's the only thing that's going to change it. That's not how you fix that. And these people don't know anything about mental health. Dorinda Nicole says, so I guess there's no such thing as a JW psychologist. That's a great question, Dorinda Nicole. Guys, let's think about that for a second. Now, in my research for a therapist, and even my daughter who did the same thing, I have not come across a psychiatrist that was also a Jehovah's Witness. One, because they speak so negatively of going to school for such an extended period of time that it would take for you to become a psychiatrist or psychologist. All right, the Jehovah's Witnesses do not advocate going to college. Now, I haven't run across a psychologist who was also a Jehovah's Witness before. I've come across several psychologists who are aware of the negative effects of being a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so they empathize with what you have dealt with, and they know how to tell you how to deal with those things. But a psychologist that was also a Jehovah's Witness would kind of be a contradiction, I would think. Because at their core, they believe that the governing body, the Watchtower and Awake magazines, the Bible, and Jehovah are the things that will solve your issues. They don't really believe, one, that you should go to school for 8 to 12 years to become a psychologist, because you're spending time doing that would take away from the time that you could be serving Jehovah. And by serving Jehovah, I mean going out and slinging those Watchtower and Awake magazines and those publications and inducting new members into the organization. Now, Miss Montblanc says there are XJW psychologists. Yes, but I'm speaking about current Jehovah's Witnesses psychologists. Of that, I am pretty certain there aren't. I can't say that because I don't know for sure, but I have never heard of a Jehovah's Witness, a current Jehovah's Witness, that was also a psychologist that helped other Jehovah's Witnesses deal with mental disorder. If there were, I would imagine on the jw.org website, they would suggest going to a Jehovah's Witness that was also a psychologist to help deal with mental problems, but they do not, because again, they don't advocate people spending that amount of time to become a psychologist. But that's a very good question, Dorinda. Willow B makes a very um, very good comment. That's one of the occupations that won't be needed in the new world. See, and that's what they'll say. They'll say things like, "Well, we won't need those in the new order." In the new. In the new system. We won't need those in the new system. LaTanya Smith says it takes a counselor that understands JWs to know how to go about treating the patient. Counselors are not cult experts, but cult specific. Okay? Great Dane says, how can anyone become a psychologist without an education? That's true. See, that's what a lot of people who are outside of this organization don't know, that they frown upon you going to college. Miss Bailey too says, I met one sister with a psychology degree, but she was snooty. She gave real good comments. Seemed like she didn't stick around. Not sure if she moved or left the org. Nikki T says, Fitz, you're my psychiatrist. That's funny. Great Dane says, that's like a vegan running a slaughterhouse. That's great. That's great, Great Dane. Dorinda Nicole says, so how are they recommending to go to people who understands your beliefs when there aren't any and they discourage the training? Makes no sense. Exactly, Dorinda. That's the issue. A lot of the things that they say are so contradictory that it causes people to go freaking crazy. It really does. It really does. Ms. Montblanc says, Keith, you're correct. Neither have I. MKT says, Dr. Phil failed at talking to that JW. Yep, Tatiana. That's still my most popular YouTube video. That video is almost at 500,000 views. 7 says, exactly, Dorinda. They don't want anyone to find a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Marsha says, my sister-in-law was so frightened of giving talks, she went to one for Prozac. It might have helped, but the guilt got her more shaky. Wendy Sloan says, yeah, I could have gotten a free 4-year college education, but my parents didn't think I should go. My brother was allowed because he would have to support a family. I paid my own way years later. And see, that's the thing. A lot of us didn't even go to college. I didn't go to college until I left the organization. I didn't go to college until I left the organization. MKT says they want you to do more in the ministry. That's their only resolution. That is true. Even like we were talking about earlier, somebody brought up the point about commenting at the meetings. And you were even pressured to comment. If you didn't comment, I remember story time. Y'all know how I get with my stories. I remember when I was a teenager, there was this girl that went to another Kingdom Hall. Well, not another Kingdom Hall. She went to a different meeting. You know how they have at times split the Kingdom Halls, that there were 2 different congregations that would go to the same Kingdom Hall at different times. And there was this girl that I liked. And I remember asking my... All right, we're going to get a little sidetracked here. We're going to try to lighten the mood just for a moment. We're going to lighten the mood just for a moment. But how many of you guys remember, or I know I'm not the only one, especially the guys, I know I'm not the only one. How many of you guys remember asking your parents if you could go to a different meeting or a meeting at a different time because it was somebody at that congregation that you wanted to talk to? You like, wait a minute, they go to the 3:30 meeting. Hey, can we go to the 3:30 meeting today? Cause I want to do something later, but if we can, if we can go to the 3:30 meeting, then I'll be free, so I can do, um, so we can be free to, I can be free to do this other thing later. So I remember going to this other Kingdom Hall, this other meeting, this other congregation, cause old girl was there, and I walked in. See, back then I used to work at the movie theater. So I used to get all my checks. I would always buy clothes. I would always buy like suits and clothes because my parents really didn't have a lot of money to buy me like the clothes that I wanted. So I wanted to look nice. But my father, he worked hard, but he had to concentrate on paying the bills and things like that. They didn't have a lot of extra money for things like that. So I got a job. I said I'm gonna spend my money on clothes so I can look nice. I don't have to pressure my parents about buying clothes. So I had a bunch of suits, and the other dudes at the Kingdom Halls used to always kind of hate on me. I remember I walked in one day, one of the dudes was like, "Man, how many suits you got?" And I was like, "I don't know, like 6, 7, I don't know." And I said it so nonchalantly, it made him. I think it made him hate me even more. Because he only had one suit, and I told y'all I was a jerk back in the day. I was a jerk back in the day, but I would always call him one suit dude because he only had one suit and he would wear it all the time. Now this was mean and I shouldn't have been doing that, but it was funny because me and my boys back then, we would see him like, "Hey, come one suit dude." And we would all laugh at him, and it was wrong because he could have been really financially, strapped. He could have been in a bad situation. I don't know what his story was, but I only made fun of him because he would always get on my nerves because he would always try to outdo me all the time. Like if I was talking to somebody, he would run up and try to outshine me or whatever. So I'm like, all right, well, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna have to bake you real quick. So I called him one suit dude. I'm like, "Here come one suit dude." They go, "One suit dude. What's up, one suit dude?" It was so wrong. But anyway, I went to this Kingdom Hall to see this girl. And when I got there, I saw her. And, she was sitting in the back. I was sitting in the front. So you know how you read in your watch tower and you glancing back. Hello, girl. What's up? What's up? What's up? You shooting each other looks through the whole meeting. And I'm sitting here smiling at the girl because she looked so pretty. She looked so good. I'm here, smiling at her. She was a auxiliary pioneer, and Great Dane says one suit dude married. No, we were teenagers. Wasn't nobody married then. And after the meeting, I went up to her and talked to her. And I didn't comment at this meeting. And she was like, "Why didn't you comment?" And I said, "Huh?" She said, "You didn't comment or nothing." I said, I was like, "Yeah, I'll comment next time or whatever." And she was legitimately upset that I didn't comment at the meeting. It literally bothered her that I didn't comment. And so from that point on, whenever I would see her, I would always try to make it a point to comment. And then it wasn't just her. As I stayed in the organization, I realized that everybody was putting pressure on everybody to make sure they commented at the meetings. It was even to the point where if someone saw your magazine and they didn't see it underlined or highlighted, they would look at you like, "Why you didn't do your study last night? Your magazine is clean. You didn't underline nothing. You didn't highlight nothing. Are you even a Jehovah's Witness? What are you doing here?" So you get pressured on so many levels. It's not just following all the ridiculous commandments that you have to follow as a Jehovah's Witness. You have to make sure that you have enough field service time. There will be times when I would fill out my field service time, and if it was 4 or 5 hours, I would almost not even want to drop it in the box because I was thinking they're going to look at me like I'm not doing anything. And I would be ashamed to put that slip of paper that technically is supposed to talk about how much I talked to somebody about God, that's really supposed to be between me and God. I was ashamed to put that piece of paper in the box. You know what I mean? If I didn't comment enough, if my comment wasn't good enough, I hope my comment was good enough. I hope I made a super good comment, just so I can make sure at the end of the meeting somebody walked up to me and said, "Hey, that was a good comment, Brother Fitzpatrick. That was a good comment. Good comment." And if you didn't get that, I'd be like, I guess my comment wasn't good enough today. I guess I didn't do it right. I didn't do it right. Or if my talk wasn't good enough, oh my God, my talk wasn't good enough. There were so many things that you get pressured about. Latanya Smith said, "You didn't comment. Uh-oh, she noticed you spiritually weak." That's exactly how it felt too. So there are so many things that you get pressured you get pressured to do in the organization, that you constantly have all this pressure on you, that I think it gets to the point that you don't realize how much pressure you have on you, because you start to accept abnormality as normality. And that is a hallmark of something that leads to mental illness. When you start to accept something that is toxic as normal, that is a sign that you are mentally disturbed. Being able to cope with an insane world is not a condition of sanity. And being able to cope with an insane situation or a mentally hurtful, harmful situation is not a sign of mental wellness. And most of us have dealt with unhealthy mental situations for so long that we think we're mentally healthy when we actually are not. And it takes us leaving the organization sometimes to see how mentally unhealthy we actually are. Doreen Nicole says, "So how do you help each other in the hall and keep all your issues in the community if they don't have people in those positions? You're too busy just telling people about Jehovah. Do they literally think you just pray it away? It says faith without works is dead, so you still gotta do something." That is true. And see, that's the issue, Dorinda. That is the issue. There isn't really a way to do that. It's very difficult to do something like that, because anything that you say in that regard, you feel like is a sign that you are spiritually weak and that your relationship with Jehovah isn't strong. So by admitting that you have some type of mental disorder that's caused by everything that you're experiencing in the congregation, you can't just go up and tell somebody that, because they're going to think you're walking away from Jehovah. You're not praying enough. You're not doing enough ministry. And it's your fault. So you just don't say anything. You behave as if everything is okay, even when you know it's not. I remember a sister, an elder's wife, story time again. I remember a sister snapping on her husband in the parking lot. She had put up with this stuff for so many years. I don't even know if Sister Smith is still alive. Sister Smith clicked on Brother Smith one day in the parking lot. Boy, Sister Smith clicked on Brother Smith in the parking lot one day. And see, elders' wives, they have to put up with a lot too. Sister Smith, now y'all notice I haven't said any curse words yet. I'm trying to stop cursing. because I curse too much. But I like it. But I'm stopping anyway. But I'm gonna use a curse word because I'm just saying what Sister Smith said. So it's not me cussing. It's Sister Smith cussing. Okay? This is Sister Smith's fault. It's not my fault. Elders' wives have to put up with their husbands being gone a lot, having to, take care of their family arrangements themselves a lot of times, deal with the way that other people look up to the elders, the way that a lot of the sisters look up to the elders. A lot of the elders have domineering spirits, and I think they mistreat their wives to an extent. And we were in the parking lot one day about to go home. Brother and Sister Smith was out in the parking lot. I don't know what brought this on, but Sister Smith just clicked. I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of this shit. It's always something. It's always something. I don't give a fuck about that part. I'm sick of this shit. And everybody was like, Sister Smith was quiet. She was really nice, quiet. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Not today. Not this day. I'm sick of this shit. It's always fucking something. It's always something. You always gotta be fucking going somewhere. I'm sick of this shit. You can't bring your ass home. But she was done. Now imagine. Now this is a sister. Now we all know how the sisters are in the congregation with the elders' wives, and we've had a sister that's been there since we've been in the congregation, and is always quiet and meek and mild, doesn't say too much. It's always super sweet. And then for something like this to just happen out of the blue means that that woman had been putting up with some stuff for a very, very, very long time, and she just snapped. That was the TV show, Snapped. She snapped, and she was done. She had been mentally putting up with all that stuff for who knows how long, to a point where she literally snapped. How many people inside and outside of the organization put up with that same thing? How many of us know about other Jehovah's Witnesses who have killed themselves, who have hurt themselves? How many, stories have we heard about women being abused in the organization and then just leave, and then they don't know what to do because they've lived in this domineering environment for a very long time? How many brothers do we know who have suffered, abuse at the hands of not even just physical abuse, but having been talked down to for so long, and having had their manhood thrown away to the point that they leave and they literally don't know how to be men anymore, and they are dominated in the world. Myself, as an example, I literally had to learn how to be a man in the world. I had to learn how to be a lion in a world of lions. Because you come out of that Kingdom Hall, you're a freaking cub in a world of lions. You're a cub. And those lions out there will eat you up. So this mental health thing is real, man. It's not a game. It's not a game, and a lot of us have to deal with that. Now let's look at this other paragraph, guys. I've been on a whole lot longer than I thought, but we're gonna keep this thing popping. We're gonna keep this thing popping. We are gonna keep this thing popping. Now let's look at this one. As a rule, This is Awake 1960, March 8th, page 27. As a rule, for a Christian to go to a worldly psychiatrist is an admission of defeat. It amounts to going down to Egypt for help. Often, when a witness of Jehovah goes to a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist will try to persuade him that his troubles are caused by his religion, entirely overlooking the fact that the Christian witnesses of Jehovah are the best oriented, happiest, and most contented group of people on the face of the earth. They have the least need for psychiatrists. Also, more and more psychiatrists are resorting to hypnosis, which is a demonic form of worldly wisdom. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? Did you see that? Did you guys see that? A Christian going to a worldly psychiatrist is an admission of defeat. It amounts to going down to Egypt for help. Really? 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 The happiest and most contented people on the planet, huh? Yeah. Everybody's saying, wow, wow. That is what they teach people. That is what they've taught people. Right? Right? But then they turn around. And say this. Sufferers, however, can benefit from such experience only when they accept suitable treatment. Mental health professionals can treat many mental health disorders successfully. The first crucial step, then, is to obtain a thorough assessment from a competent health professional who is experienced in treating mental conditions. As a rule, for a Christian to go to a worldly psychiatrist is an admission of defeat. It amounts to going down to Egypt for help. Often, when a witness of Jehovah goes to a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist will try to persuade him that his troubles are caused by his religion, entirely overlooking the fact that the Christian witnesses of Jehovah are the best oriented, happiest, and most contented group of people on the face of the earth. How can these people not be narcissistic when they are saying one thing in one place and time and saying that it is the truth, and then later saying something that is directly contradictory to what they have previously stated, and then call that the truth and expect you to not question what they said previously? That in itself is enough to cause somebody to be mentally ill, because you're trying to be someone who's able to live in both worlds of truth. You're literally trying to make truth out of a lie. You are literally trying to polish a turd. And everybody knows you can't polish a turd. Let's look at one more. I mean, this goes all the way back in their teaching. Let's look at this next one. This Watchtower, 1963, January 15, page 37 and 38. The second reason for our critical times is modern man's rejection of God's word, the Bible. Enemies such as Wellhausen and his prejudiced school of higher critics, Darwin and his evolutionists, Freud and his theories, Marx and his atheistic revolutionists, all these have played a sinister role in destroying the guiding influence of the Bible for many, especially since so many of the clergy have adopted such worldly wisdom. According to Freud, one of psychiatry's chief authorities, religion is a great illusion that man will get rid of someday. Psychiatry stresses, know thyself, as if an enlightened self-love know thyself as if an enlightened self-love is sufficient for successful living. Now that is a very, very important statement. More than ignoring God, analysts often contradict God by advising those with guilty consciences that fornication, adultery, and sodomy are not wrong in themselves. The charge rightly has been made that such counsel tends to exterminate the conscience. Now, my main point in reading that paragraph is this sentence right here. Because I'm not going to debate about whether adultery is wrong or not. I mean, that's the thing. When you if you put a diamond in a turd, it's still a diamond in there. It's just surrounded by a turd. But this sentence, psychiatry stresses, know thyself as if an enlightened self-love is sufficient for successful living. Self-love is vital for a healthy living. It's not only sufficient, it is vital. And the way that they phrase that sentence is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Condescending. It's as if they're saying someone who is trying to make sure that they have a sufficient amount of self-love. That's not enough for you to be happy. When literally everything that is going to make you happy in life, happy with yourself, is going to start with having a sufficient amount of self-love. It is a fundamental or a foundation of a happy being. Self-love is fundamental in someone being happy. I would wager that if someone doesn't have sufficient self-love, it's impossible for them to truly be happy. And I believe the Watchtower knows that. And they, in their knowledge of how the mind works, make an effort to make sure that you don't elevate the love you have for yourself beyond the love you have for the governing body. They want to make sure that your self-love does not exceed the love you have for the governing body, the elders in the congregation, anyone who has quote unquote the ability to give you counsel and reproof and that teaches you the way that you should live. Your love for yourself can't exceed that, because as Dorinda Nicole said, self-love will require you thinking of you. And that's not what they want. That is not what they want. That is not what they want. Miss Belly 2 says we need to investigate those men. We do. So guys, I'm very sorry that the whole call-in thing didn't work at the beginning, but I'm glad we finally got it working. I enjoyed you guys who called in. Let's see, what you asked me, Willow? Does that January 52 say to shun psychiatrists? No. Alicia says, but they claim they are the happiest people in the world, as my son teases about them, the best life ever. Dorinda says, you don't worry about yourself, so you don't put you above what they say. The more you don't matter in your own eyes, the more you will take their doctrine at face value. That is very, very true. That's very, very true. Not loving yourself is enough to make you accept any doctrine from anyone. Wendy Sloan says, the word hypnosis is not in the Bible. The phenomena is mentioned over 30 times. Adam going into a deep state to create Eve is the... I don't know how to say that word. I need to find out how to say that word. Interesting. I'm going to find out how to pronounce that word. I don't like to not know how to pronounce words, but I will find out. So guys, if there is anyone else who has an experience that they would like to share, you are more than welcome to call. We'll wrap this thing up here in a moment. The point I am even trying to make in doing this stream, yeah, I still want to know how to say it. I realize it's James. It said his name was James, but I want to know how to pronounce that last word. It's like, I don't know. I want to know how to make sure. I want to make sure I know how to pronounce it. In my old congregation, an elder kept stating, Miss Bailey 2 says, in my old congregation, an elder kept staring at me and said, you are overconfident. How does that person know that? You know how many times I've heard that in my life? I can't even count. Too many times. Yeah, I did, but since it's a person's name, it's not giving me the pronunciation. So I'll just look at some videos and find out how that name is pronounced. Esdale. Thank you, Wendy. I thought that, but I didn't know. Marsha says, Fitz, you okay? You helped a lot of us connect today. Yes, I am fine. I am amazing. I am amazing today. I am amazing today. We had a great conversation. We got XJW Critical Thinker fall into the chat, and then we all had some great calls. We got to hear some great information from people. We had some great conversation in the chat. It's been a great day. It's been a great time. But the whole point in doing this show today was really for us to be aware, and I know we've talked about it before, But we have to be aware of the fact that we have had our brains tampered with. And there is there are after effects from dealing with what we all have dealt with. Just like I talked about in my stream the other day. We all have these demons demons that we have to deal with, and I would wager that they are probably never going to go away. But as a wise man said, we don't have to the strong person doesn't rid himself of his demons. He learns to stand above them. And I think that we have to learn to rise above the demons that we have in our bodies, in our minds. And we have to be aware that there is a need for help. But we also have to be aware that there may be a need for us to not be afraid to talk about the things that we have to deal with. I have just gotten to a point, because I was not as open as I am now. There would be a time when I was afraid to show weakness in myself. I would never ask for help. I would never talk about my mistakes. I would never talk about, any problems I thought I may be having mentally. I always looked at it as a sign of weakness, so I never wanted to address it. But there comes a time when you have to realize that, yes, this happened. This happened. It happened. And we have to acknowledge that, and we have to deal with it. And the only way that we can move past, the things that we have experienced, is that we have to admit that, yes, we experienced those things and they have an effect on us. They have, like was stated earlier, they have permanently altered the way our brain works. Our brains have been permanently altered. And we have to learn how to deal with our new way of thinking that's being interfered with by our old way of our old indoctrinations. They clash. There are times when your new way of thinking will be saying, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then, as we said earlier, you get triggered by something from the past, from the other part of your brain that hasn't gone away. And he says, why you want to do that? Why you want to do that? You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're going to go vote. You're not supposed to do that. You're not going to the meeting. You're not supposed to be at the meeting right now. You want to watch that movie? You're not supposed to do that. So we have to get to a point where we can say those old roads are not going to be traveled anymore. Those old memories are done and burned, and it's time for us to create new memories. But sometimes we need somebody to help us get from the old road to the new road. And as my therapist always said, Keith, I can't take you where you want to go. I'm just the GPS, and I'm here to help you get where you want to go. So if we have to, or if we want to get off of that old road, sometimes we need a GPS to help us get to where we want to be. And it's not anything wrong with asking for help or going to see a therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever help we may need. There's nothing wrong with that. So if any of us here in this chat feel like you need to talk to somebody, if you're afraid still to, like the call, I think Latanya that called in said she wants to do all these things. She wants to be active. She wants to be an activist. She wants to help people. But right now she's still dealing with the things that she was indoctrinated with. And it's going to take her and all of us time to get to a point where we can fully be where we want to be. And that's okay. It's okay. It's a journey. It's a process. It's a road. So if any of us feel like we need that help, please go and get that help. Don't let any of this stuff that we've talked about that they put into our minds stop us from getting the help we need. Don't be afraid to talk to someone. If there's someone that you feel that you want to talk to but you don't feel like they understand, we all here totally understand. We all have made friends here. If there's somebody here that you want to talk to outside the platform, exchange information with people. Get people's email addresses. Talk to each other. That's what we all are here for. That's what this platform is for. I'm not here to preach about all the things that the Jehovah's Witnesses say that are wrong. I'm here to preach about all the things that can happen positively to us as a result of leaving those things behind and moving forward with our lives. Because we still have a life. There is still life after the watchtower. There is still life. All right. So guys, Nikki T says, when is the meetup? If you guys could go to the community tab, I need to know exactly how many people are interested in coming, because it's going to affect the venue that I use, because I have 3 different places that I'm thinking of using, but the number of people that are going to be there is going to affect which venue I use. Actually, you know what I'll do? Tomorrow I'll post some images of where, in the community tab, I'll post some images of the places that I'm thinking. And then we can see how many people are coming or planning to come, and see which venue we can use. Great Dane says, hey, I'm old enough to be your parent, so take this as intended. You are more than enough. You are loved by many people, including me. Don't doubt or second guess yourself. You are great. Thank you, Great Dane. I really appreciate that. You know what I appreciate about you the most, Great Dane? I respect the fact that you and I clash so many times, but it's always amicable. It's always amicable. I don't have a problem with disagreeing with someone. I have a problem with disagreeing with someone who is disagreeable. And you and I have clashed in our ways of thinking several times, but it's always amicable, and it's always cool, and there's always love there. So I really appreciate you, Great Dane. Thank you for that. Whitney Sloan, yes, you can. You can. You can text me at that number. It's fine. It's just a second line, so it's fine. Just don't start stalking me. It's okay. Just don't give my number to some of these crazy stalkers out here. So guys, tomorrow's show, same time tomorrow at 7:30. It will be a Majority Report show, because I want to talk about some of these things that are happening in the world today, man. I don't know if you guys have watched the new season of Black Mirror, but man, they are making some brothers pay for money now. Some of these successful brothers out here in the world, and some of these successful sisters out here in Hollywood that have made money and gotten Oscars and been super successful. It seems like it's a time of year where Hollywood is saying, okay, we made you successful. Now we need you to do this BS. Now it's time for you to jump on this coon train real quick. We need you to get on this coon train real quick and do this demeaning stuff. We need you to demean yourselves and your community real quick so you can pay for this money. You gotta pay for this money. This money is not free. Your talent does not solely get you this money. So we need you to do some stuff to demean yourselves and this community. So we're going to talk about this 5th season of Black Mirror and the movie Ma. Whoa, it was crazy. Miss Bailey, it'll be in the community tab of my channel. My channel, if you guys don't know, there is a community tab on the channel where I post questions to you guys. So if you guys want, let me see if I can post if I can just post a community tab here in the chat real quick. Let's see here. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so that is the link to the community tab. So if you haven't voted and let me know what's going on, just go there and let me know. 24%, there's only been 5, let's see, how many votes are there? There have been 25 votes. So 24% say they're coming and 50% say they can't. So we're about 50% saying they can't make it. 24% saying that they're coming, 24% saying they're thinking about it. So if everybody could just go and let me know, I will definitely tomorrow I will definitely post some pictures. I just need to go and take some pictures of the places where I'm thinking. If the crowd is small enough, I was thinking of having it here near my home. Either there's a place that's not too far from my home, or I have a really huge yard too. So I was thinking we could maybe even do it here. But it just depends on how many people there are actually going to be. And then we could meet here and then go to some other places together. I really want this to be like a gathering of people going and doing things together. So we'll figure it out. I just need to get some type of number on how many people are coming. So anyway, just let me know if you get a minute, guys. Go to the thing and vote. I'll post those pictures on the community tab of my channel. All right. So guys, it's been a great show. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all tomorrow at 7:30. If you haven't seen this movie Ma, and if you haven't seen this new season of Black Mirror on Netflix, you should definitely check them out before this show tomorrow. If you have Netflix, definitely check out this new season of of Black Mirror. It's ridiculous. So again, guys, thank you so much for being here, for calling in, for all of your wonderful comments in the chat. Love you guys so much. I really appreciate you all so much, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, peace.